Welcome back to the video, you guys. I am here at the gym. I've got an upper body workout on a new program. Super excited for it. Interestingly though, my left shoulder has been a little tight the last couple days. I have been sleeping on it in a really funky position. I don't know if that's happened to you, but so I've been waking up the last 2 mornings with my shoulder really, really stiff. So I'm gonna see how it goes today with what I have to do for my upper body day. I am gonna warm up very, very well. We're gonna show you kind of fast forward through a lot of my warm-ups, but I'm gonna spend a lot of time warming up my shoulders today, just as a precaution, and then I'm gonna see what I can do. And just as a side note to that, whenever you get nicked up or you're injured, you should never stop, ever. I've had a shoulder scope on this shoulder. I was ready to have surgery on this one, and I've had hip injuries and I've had all kinds of things. But through all of that, I've never missed a single day of training, not one. Now, my training may have looked very different during those injuries, but the point is I never had to miss a day. I found ways to train around everything with the help of my coach and my movement doc. So it's super, super important to keep moving. Most doctors will tell you not to complete rest anymore. That used to be the old school way of dealing with things, and now I think people are starting to think the more you move, the more you get blood flow to the area, and the sooner your injury is gonna heal. So I'm gonna kind of take my own advice. I'm gonna see how things feel. I think I'll be able to do just about everything. I may not be able to load the way I really want to load, but I'm gonna play that by ear. So let's go see what happens. Okay, so I put a Q&A box up on Instagram the other day, got a lot of great questions, so I wanted to kind of go over some of them here. First question, and I'm gonna have Dan put the question up here so you can see it. Best advice you've ever received about life and fitness? So that's actually a great question. 2 things pop into my mind right away. The first thing can be applied to any part of your life, whether it's fitness, business, just life in general. And that is learning to accept failure as an opportunity to grow. That changed everything for me. I used to be that perfectionist who would never get outside of her comfort zone, never allow herself to do anything where she might not be successful. And I lived in the cocoon as a result. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was living out of fear of screwing up all the time. That's no way to live, by the way. So once you understand that failure is a good thing, and that's how we learn and that's how we grow, is from failures, or stumbles or whatever you want to call them along the way, because they're going to happen. And so let's embrace them and learn from them, and then we grow. We grow as a person even more. So that's the biggest, and you can apply that to your life, to your business, to fitness, whatever. But the biggest fitness thing that has changed my life, and it's kind of like a mantra now for me, and that is that there's no finish line to this journey. Literally, there's no aha, ta-da! I've reached the end. The end of our journey is when we die. That's the end. So really, we used to think that, oh, when I lose the next 10 pounds, the journey's over. Well, no, because we get to those 10 after the 10 pounds, and we're like, uh-oh. Well, wait a minute, I don't look as I thought I would look. I don't feel like I thought I would feel, or whatever. We realize that that wasn't really what was that important. And I think, honestly, if you think of there's no end date, there's no finish line, once you get rid of that pressure that we have sitting on our shoulders, get that off your shoulders and realize you're in this thing for life. It is liberating. It is the most freeing thing I can ever express to you. It's unbelievable how good this feels. The pressure is off. Who cares if it takes 2 months to lose 10 pounds, 5 months to lose 10 pounds, 8 months to lose 10 pounds? Who cares? Because it doesn't matter anymore. There's no end date. There's no rush to a finish line because there's no finish line. So I want you to think about that. I love this question because that way of thinking literally has changed my life. So I want you to think about that and embrace it because it will change your life as well. Great question. Okay, so the next question, how hard is it to lose fat and keep or build a little muscle? What is the best way? So, great question. I get asked a similar kind of question to this all the time. Here's the thing. When you are losing fat, you definitely want to maintain your muscle while you're losing fat. And to do that, you need to eat adequate protein. That is why protein is so important in the fat loss game. Way more important in the fat loss game than in the muscle building game, which to me at first was a little counterintuitive. But because it plays such a role in maintaining your muscle mass while you're losing weight, it is so, so, so important. So while you're losing fat, make sure your protein levels are adequate and you will maintain your muscle. That's the first thing. If you want to build muscle while you're losing fat, the best way to do that is take, for example, over a period of time, let's say 6 months. 3 months of that you spend in a fat loss phase. You focus on keeping your protein levels up, stay in a calorie deficit, focus on losing fat for 3 months. At the end of 3 months, if you like how you look, if you've leaned out to the point where you feel good, then you slowly add calories back in over the course of a week, not per day, just over the course of a week, add calories back in to where you will gain a little bit of weight in a surplus. You will, but not much, and it's not fat, so don't worry about it. Your muscles are holding on to more stuff. It's all good. Maybe a ½ pound to a pound a month. Monitor that, keep adding calories until that becomes your norm, and stay in a surplus muscle building phase for 3 months. So what happens is at the end of a 6-month period, you will have done both. You will have lost fat and you will have built muscle. That's the best way to look at it. Because if you're trying to do both at the same time, you will never know how many calories to eat. What should you be doing? Should you be eating in a deficit or a surplus? So break it into chunks, and then by the end of the long period of time, you will have done both. Great question. Okay, next question was, how do you feel about having more than one goal at a time? A chin-up goal and a deadlift goal. I love it, love it, love it, love it. I think that is actually perfect. Because especially if your workouts are split up into lower and upper days, that kind of thing, chin-up goal, fantastic. You can really work on those through your upper body days, and deadlift goals, absolutely, through your lower body days, and they're actually gonna help each other as you go. So these are actually 2 really, really good goals, but yes, I am all in favor of having more than one goal. I think that that is more than appropriate. I think where people get spread a little thin is when you start having, 5, 6, 7 goals, and you're trying to hit each one in a workout, and you're trying to build stuff around that. I think that can be a little confusing. But 2 goals like that, this is a perfect setup. I can't wait to see what happens with this. This is amazing. Great question. Okay, so the next question comes from, don't know who it comes from, but it says, I tried to eat at a calorie deficit, like you said, but I get so hungry, I binge, then eat more. So here's the thing. If you did a calorie deficit with the numbers that I have been putting out there, I'm gonna have Dan put it down here so you can see the formula. Basically, it's taking your goal weight in pounds, multiplying by 11 and 12, and using that as a range for a calorie deficit to start with. If you're using that, you probably wouldn't be ravenous and super hungry all the time. My guess is you're eating way less than that, because with fat loss, you should feel hunger. That you should feel, but you shouldn't be starving all the time. So my guess is you're eating too few calories. So use the formula, goal weight times 11 and 12. Use that as a calorie range. Stay within that for at least 30 days and monitor your progress. While you're doing that, try to find some higher volume, lower calorie foods. Vegetables are great for that. Make sure you're eating enough protein. Protein will help keep you feeling fuller longer. And also look at how you're distributing your calories throughout the course of a day. If you tend to get hungry or you start binging towards the end of a day, save more calories for that time of day. So spread it all out. But make sure you're eating enough, because remember this, and this is super important to remember for everybody. When you're in a calorie deficit, the point of it is not to eat as little as humanly possible and still survive. The point of a calorie deficit is to eat as much as you can while still being in a deficit. So overly restricting isn't doing you any good in the long term at all. So start with that formula, get some protein on board, some higher volume, lower calorie foods, and let's see how you feel. My next question says, I'm eating in a calorie deficit and working out, but I don't see any progress. How? The answer is pretty simple. The answer is you're not in a calorie deficit. You're just not. And honestly, you probably think you are, but somewhere in what you're doing, you're eating over what your body actually needs. And I don't know how long you've been at this. I'm assuming you've been at this for a while. If you've only been at this for a few weeks, you've got a long way to go before you can honestly say whether something is working or not. You need to give it at least 30 to 60 days, preferably 60 days, maybe even 90 days of being consistent with tracking every single thing that goes into your mouth. Every drink, coffee, every yogurt, everything that you put in your mouth. Because somewhere, either calories aren't being counted, we're not thinking about these, or we're not weighing and measuring something. So I would encourage you to go back, regroup, make sure you're using a good starting place for a calorie deficit. Make sure you're hitting your protein. Track every single thing for 30 days. And let's see what happens with that. Be super meticulous, and I'll bet you will find where the loose ends are with this. My next question, how did you link up with Jordan? Was he your trainer? Great question, and he and I love talking about this. Yes, he was and still is my coach. He and I started working together about 4 years ago, I think it's been. We had a mutual friend who I had asked to who to contact if I wanted to increase my deadlift and do some powerlifting meets and that kind of thing. And she said Jordan. So I reached out to Jordan and hopped on board as a one-on-one client of his. And so he's been writing my programming for the past 4 years. It's interesting because my goals when I first started working with him was to do a powerlifting meet, and my goals have since changed over time, which is normal. It happens to all of us. And now my goals are more aesthetic-based and strength-based. And just, I have many goals in the gym that I am driving towards, and he's pushing me towards every single day. He's still writing my workouts, and we, over the course of the 4 years that we have been working together, we just click. And our business goals are the exact same. Our ethics are the exact same. We think the exact same way. And he brought me on in the inner circle. Gosh, it's been a year and a half ago, maybe pushing 2 almost now. And so now we're partners in the inner circle. And we truly think that the inner circle is the best online fitness community there is. And we think that he and I make probably the best team just because we bring similar things to the table and different things to the table. We think alike. We're family. We just get along so well. We're so connected, and so we love what we do. Yeah, it's been a great partnership. We have lots of exciting things coming up, and I can't wait to see what the future brings for that. So thank you for asking. All right, you guys, so that was the vlog for today. Some questions, some Q&A, a workout. And I wanted to touch on one thing before we go about what I was talking about at the very beginning of the workout with my shoulder, and it was feeling tight for the past couple days, and how it's so important to move and find what you can do. And I just wanted to kind of update you. So after I did the workout, my shoulder feels fantastic right now. And I think it's a great example of I could have chosen to not work out at all, and it would still be stiff. It would still be tight, and it would not feel as good as it does right now. But I chose to come in, start moving, get the blood flowing, actually do shoulder movements, which all felt great, by the way. None of them hurt my shoulder, and the more I moved, the better it felt. So just remember that the next time you feel stiff or you feel like you've nicked something up, you've injured something, find something you can do, because you will feel better. No one ever regretted putting in the work and going to the gym or getting something in. No one ever regretted that. Sometimes it's hard to get there, get yourself there, but get there, because you will feel better, you're gonna get the blood flowing, and you're gonna get healed up way faster. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Any questions or comments, put them below. Click subscribe. We've got a bunch of tutorials coming up and some other cool vlogs in the works. So hope to see you here. And if you have any questions or if I can ever do anything for you, let me know. See you guys later.